Hey, here we go. It's another live edition of the Sunday Sports Rush. I am Brett Rump. Adam Lundy's going to be joining us here in just a minute as we wrap up another sports weekend. And for me, it was a wedding weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts and their big win over the Las Vegas Raiders today. I guess it was a game for 3-4 minutes when the Raiders looked like they were going to just go through the Colts defense, like the Colts defense was Swiss cheese. And from that point on, the Colts totally tightened up, did not allow a touchdown on the day. That is something that almost never happens. And the Colts end up getting a 40-6 win over the Las Vegas Raiders. The Colts have improved to 4-1, and they've got a real good shot of moving to 5-1 next week as they'll come back home and play at Lucas Oil Stadium against the Arizona Cardinals. But it was a busy weekend. We've got so much on tap. We appreciate you joining us. And of course, we've got our comments open so you can always weigh in. Love to have you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. That's always very important for us. You can like, you can share, do all those kind things to help this show actually build and grow. We're still in kind of the early stages of getting this going. But once again, Adam Lundy is going to be joining us here in just a little bit. But yeah, go ahead and get connected to us. Hit that subscribe button that's just below. And especially if you're on YouTube, that's where you find that subscribe button. So we want you to make sure to join us here on the Sports Rush. That's why we do this. We want to engage. We want to converse. We want to be able to respond to your questions. And you can do that by joining us at this point, it looks like Sundays are going to be the best days. So you can join us on Sundays. Now, freshly hydrated is Adam Lundy, who's joining us. I happened to catch him just before we brought him on, having a nice sip of beverage. Adam, haven't seen you for a while. Actually, haven't seen you for quite a while because I wasn't around Friday night. How are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah, we had a great time on Friday night. You were sorely missed though, but it was nice to see John Nolan out there at Carroll, and he got a chance to get back in the football field. That was cool to see him and catch up a little bit. Had some had a blowout for our Midwest Box
Yeah.
Breaks game of the week, and we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah, I'm kind
yeah,
of
that
glad that John didn't have a chance to show off his highlight skills because that game was pretty much over by the end of the first quarter.
yeah, very impressive win for Carroll. But yeah, and then Saturday, some good college football, and then a blowout Colts win today. So very exciting weekend. And then of course you had the wedding. Yeah, got the hat, rocking the horseshoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm down
congrats.
one jersey, by the way. My son, who came to town from
Yeah.
Florida for the wedding, decided he didn't have a plane flight until 8 o'clock tonight to go back home. And so he thought, what do I do with Sunday? Well, he happened to catch on the schedule that the Colts were going to be at home. And so he went online, found tickets, bought some tickets for the game today. So he and his girlfriend went to the game today. But he needed Colts apparel. And so he
Mhm.
contacts me and said, hey, don't you have a Colts jersey? I said, yeah, I got a Colts jersey. Can I borrow it for the weekend? Well, we'll see how long that borrow ends up lasting because
Let's see if you ever get it back.
a good chance that I just gifted away my Colts jersey to my son. But he had a great time. He's now at the Indianapolis airport. Oh, and he just sent me a picture. You know, him and he looks like best buddies with this guy. And he sends the picture, and underneath the picture it says LeVar Ball. He ran into LeVar Ball at
Oh,
the airport, and he got a picture with him, and he sent it to me. But that's my son. He's not afraid of going up to anyone and getting a photo, whatever, talking. He probably is carrying on a conversation right now with LeVar Ball, probably trying to work out a shoe deal. But but he went to the game today, so I told him, I said, you saw one of the better Colts performances because that was quite a game today, and we'll talk plenty about that. I got to tell you about my weekend, though. Of course,
yeah.
you have one daughter, and you have that one opportunity to have your daughter's wedding, and so congratulations to Kevin and Ashton. Got married yesterday. They did all of the planning themselves. They She went online and got all the tutorials of everything to do to put together a wedding and all of the ideas, and she put them into place. And I'll tell you what, I don't feel like I'm being biased when I say this, that she put on a beautiful wedding. I mean, every little detail from the flowers to the, she gave me a gift, and I should have actually brought it in the studio, but she she gave me a custom tie to wear, and it's the color. It was a deep green, which was one of the colors. She actually had multiple colors in the wedding. She had like a dark rust color with a dark green. She tried to go with some type of an autumn or fall theme, and she gave me the green tie. And if I flipped it over, in the back of the tie, at the bottom where it kind of splits, and was a photograph of me holding her as a baby.
Aw, that's cute. That's
She
great.
really worked hard to see how much of a softie I was going to be this weekend. She went overboard,
Aw.
because of course the two big moments for the father of the bride is the walk down the aisle and the first dance. And so I was doing okay. I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't concerned at all about the walk down the aisle until I talked to Dean Pantazzi. And Pantazzi says, "Oh my gosh, I couldn't hold it together. You won't believe what that walk is like, and all of the emotions that spill out." I didn't have, and it's not like I'm immune to emotions, but I didn't feel the same powerful emotions that he did walking down the aisle. I still was feeling them associated with the song because I knew what the song was going to be and why she selected it. Well, and here's that sequence. First of all, we walked down the aisle. We had a rehearsal on Friday, and I failed apparently the rehearsal
Oh,
test
no.
because, yeah, I walked her down the aisle fine. In fact, she had both her mother and father walk her down the aisle. And so her mom was on one side, I was on the other. And then we greeted Kevin, the groom. Uh, we then had to say that who gives of this woman, right? And we had to say that. Well, then after we say that, then we're supposed to shake Kevin's hand, hug Ashton. Well, I shook Kevin's hand, and I was so paranoid about stepping on the dress because the dress has this, big, uh,
Sure, yeah.
whatever they call that. And I
Or
had already stepped on it a couple of times, just walking down the back hall to get to the chapel. So I thought, okay, I don't want to. So I was real careful to step all the way around the dress. Well, she turned and hugged her mom. And when she turned to hug me, I was no longer there. I had already taken off to go get my seat. And then I sat
Oh, no.
down and I looked at my wife and I said, oh my God, I forgot to hug her.
You didn't
So I
run the
screwed
route
that
right.
part up, messed that part up. But then we get to the dance, right?
Mhm.
She had picked the song Butterfly Kisses. I don't know if you've ever listened to Butterfly Kisses. Very emotional. It takes you through a father with his daughter, and from the time she was a little girl until she's a 16-year-old, until she becomes a bride. And I knew it was going to be rough for me because first time I listened to the song, I hadn't heard it for like 20 years or better. And the first time I heard it, when I listened to it before the last week, actually, oh, I had a very emotional moment. I won't admit to crying, but I might have.
It, might have been raining inside, just on your cheeks. We'll
Yeah,
just go
yeah.
with that.
The roof was leaking that day.
Yeah, there was a leak or something, it just landed right there, and you're
Um,
like,
well, so I decided I need to listen to this song enough to so that it no longer hits me as hard, right? That I
Sure,
know the
yeah.
words, I know what to expect, I can get through it. So I did that, and I finally thought, okay, I can hold myself together. I can get through this song with our dance. And then when we went in to have dinner, after the wedding ceremony, you go to the reception hall, and she had every table assigned with guests, and on every table there was like a little card holder that had a little card, almost like a thank you card, to every single guest, personally written out. And she hand wrote a note that was personalized to every single guest that attended the wedding. Over 200, and I think she had 220 people or something.
Wow.
And so we get to the table and we pass out our little tiny cards. And I open mine up. Big mistake. I should have waited because I
Oh,
opened it up
man.
and she wrote some very, obviously some very touching things, but
Yeah.
she wrote why she picked Butterfly Kisses and had shared with me that she remembered me taking her to school. And when we heard that song, I had to explain to her what Butterfly Kisses were, and that it became a special song to her. And she said, I've known since elementary school that this was going to be the song for us for our first dance, or for our father-daughter dance. And so I read that just like 10 minutes before,
Mm.
let's have the father of the bride come up. I'm like already an emotional wreck. But so I get up there, we're dancing, and I told her, I said, I think I can get through this. And because she had joked that, she says, you're not a crier. I've never seen you cry. So we get we get near the last verse. I said, this is the verse that always gets me. And then the verse starts, and I said, I think I can make it. I'm going to get through this. I said, I've listened to it enough that I can get through this without breaking apart. All of a sudden she looks up at me and her eyes are all watery and she says, I didn't. Meaning she hadn't, and she busted out, bawling, put her head into my chest, just crying her eyes out. What a moment. I mean, that is something I'll live with for, well, I'd say forever, but who knows how long I've got left. But
No, that's a
what a
fantastic
moment.
memory. Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a terrific ceremony. That was my weekend. Of course, I missed Friday night high school football, but I did have a chance to listen to quite a bit of it because we got done with our dinner and everything about 8:30, and so I listened to. Well, I tuned in at halftime, and it was already not much of a game, and it sounded like John and Shannon were just basically trying to get to the finish line. And I don't blame them, because when it's 42-0, was it 42-0 at halftime? Was that?
I wanna say I wanna say a little less than that because I don't think the running clock had quite started. I wanna say maybe 28 to nothing at halftime, but,
I think
it was
because
up
I
there.
thought Shannon said if the running clock rule would be apply in the first half, that we would have had a running clock in the second quarter.
I'll get the statistician on it.
Yeah, you can have our research people, all those people we've got in the background that do our research, have them work on it. Yeah, but it was a one-sided game. 49-0, I
Definitely.
think, was the final, correct?
Yes, we do have the final correct. Yes, it was 49 to nothing.
So anyway, today the Colts almost won a game 49-0. Wow.
My goodness, there's just so much to talk about from today's just absolute blowout victory over the Raiders.
So many positives, couple negatives, but so many positives that outweigh any of the negatives. First of all, the Colts, after giving up that opening field goal, score on 6 consecutive possessions, and they score touchdowns on 6 consecutive possessions. And probably part of the reason is because they couldn't kick field goals, because what the heck are the Raiders doing? I mean, that's
Mm.
as bush league as it gets, to go take out a kicker on an extra point.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just, no, unnecessary, and, you just gotta hope Spencer Schrader's gonna be alright.
it does. I mean, I don't want to play
Live.
pessimist here, but
Yeah, it didn't look good.
it didn't look good. The injury itself, and then the way he went off the field, um, you're pretty
Yeah.
concerned that the Colts might be in the market for a kicker. And
I was yeah, I was surprised that Rigoberto Sanchez didn't try at least one kick, one extra point, but if you
well,
can't
the
do it, you
problem
can't
is
do
he's
it.
the holder.
That's true.
I didn't think about that, but they couldn't have him kick because then they had no one prepared to hold.
Yeah, I saw our
And they said
guy.
the backup holder is the long snapper, and they'd have had to have a new long snapper. Nobody's practiced. So they're like, we'll just go for two and hope we get 50-50 and
Yeah,
break even, right?
it was fun. It was like watching like a 1A high school football team, you know?
You
It's
know what
like
I kind of like is the Colts have struggled in the red zone, and this is like an and goal situation. See what they got, see how they execute. And the first couple were not that pretty, but
no.
But
It got better.
yeah, pardon?
It got better, and the fact is they came after, Colts touchdowns, so, you'll
Well,
take
they
it.
ran the same play a couple of times. One time to their left, and then the next time they went for two, they ran the same play to the right, where they have Tyler Warren curl in, and the other guy go toward the outside. Well, the they had Tyler Warren wide open, and they called him for a push off, which was the lamest.
Yeah, that was so weak,
I mean, he
and that's
put his
2 weeks
hand
in a
up.
row.
He put his hand up, but he didn't extend. He didn't use two hands. I thought, come on. Occasionally, you've got to be able to just, I'd say, swallow the whistle, but it's more keep the flag in the pocket.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's like I said, that's 2 weeks in a row now he's gotten weak OPI calls against him, so just I mean, I know he's a big guy, but let him play, let him run around a little bit, let him
yeah,
stick his
let
arm
him.
out a
I
little
mean,
bit.
he's a big physical guy, and you can't tell me that same exact motion isn't done by a defensive back on almost every single pass coverage play. Right? I mean, when a receiver's running down the field, they're going to have somebody give him a hand check, right? That's basically what that was. It was a hand check. He put it up in the guy's chest and then cut off of it. They get that all the time, and they let the defensive players get away with it every play. And now, all of a sudden, it's like he's a marked man. You can't get away with it. Now yeah, that was just a ridiculous call. Um, but it would have worked. And then they ended up finally they converted. What did they convert on Jonathan Taylor? Was he the one
Jonathan
that?
Taylor, after a touchdown, he ran it in for 2 for
Yeah.
40 to get it up to 40, yep.
And so the Colts win it 40-6, not allowing a touchdown defensively. And now I know listening to the Indianapolis pregame, because as I was driving back from Indy, I was listening to their pregame down in Indianapolis, which starts at like 8 or 9 in the morning.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I was listening to the pregame, and they were talking about how weak the Las Vegas Raiders offensive line is. Well, they didn't look bad early, but then on that first drive, but then they started to show some holes. Genty never really did get going a whole lot. I think he averaged 2 point something yards per carry. You had the Colts getting some pressure, and they only had 4 sacks officially today. But the timing of the sacks was important. There were a couple of times where they were like and goal situations, and they sacked them to take them completely out of a chance to score a touchdown. And they had one, I think, that um, they were on a third, was it a third down and short, and they ended up being third and long after or second and short, and would have ended up third and long, and then they couldn't get it. Or no, that was when they went fourth and long, and then ended up missing a 50-yarder at the end of the half. But I thought they timed the sacks really well, even though they didn't have a ton of them. But how about Latu getting another interception too now, which I think he's tops on the team or tied for the top on the team.
Yeah, I
Two
mean,
interceptions.
right place, right time. That was a great batted ball, I believe, by Grover Stewart, for Latu to get that interception, and, you still have to not have butter hands, you still have to be able to ready to catch that ball, even if it flies straight up in the air and then right down to you. You still have to be able to catch it.
He's had, he dropped back, and he's one of those that's a pass rusher that drops into coverage occasionally, and he doesn't do it that often. But it's such a surprise to the opposing offense that now
Yeah,
this one was deflected,
yeah.
but the last time it was kind of a surprise move. He dropped back and cut in front of the receiver, but 2 interceptions for the edge rusher for the
Yeah.
Indianapolis Colts.
No, I thought
Well,
Latu was great today, and he had some good pressures. He had that one pressure that allowed for a cleanup sack. So good stuff.
yep. All right. So final numbers: Daniel Jones goes 20 of 29, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. More importantly, no picks. Geno Smith threw 2 interceptions. Turnovers were a big part of this game. Jonathan Taylor, 17 carries, so a limited workload. Didn't have to rely on him too much. I really, we last week we talked about the Colts, their offensive play calling. Wasn't thrilled with it. I thought wonderful game plan this week. First of all, they came out, they were willing to throw on early downs. That kind of loosened up the defense a little bit, gave Jonathan Taylor a few lanes, especially late in the contest. I loved what the Colts did with their game plan, and they immediately, from the beginning, went right for Tyler Warren. And I'm like, man, get that guy going. Because, I mean, he totally changes things, especially for the running game, because now you've got to drop a linebacker deep, and that frees up some space in the box. And hopefully Jonathan Taylor gets an extra couple of yards because the linebacker's vacated because he's dropping on Warren, whatever the case may be. But Tyler Warren ended up with 4 catches, 44 yards, had the touchdown, got in the end zone. I thought Josh Downs had a terrific game. I thought it was his best game so far with 6 catches, 54 yards. But, man, he's got a knack when he makes that catch of just shifty, get away from one tackle, and then lean forward for the first down. He knows where the stick is the entire route. Somebody, I saw a comment earlier on social media that his new name should be Josh First Downs because that's all he does, gets first downs, moves the chains. By the way, real quick, we'll jump in on the comments. Rick Longsworth asking if the Raiders roughing the kicker was payback for the Colts blocking a punt. I don't think they put that much thought into it. Now, they may have wanted to go get one because their guy got blocked. But I just thought, why on an extra point, I
Yeah,
mean, how many do we see blocked in the course of the year? Occasionally they'll miss one because of the
yeah.
distance, occasionally, but
I mean, Pete Carroll and a couple of the guys on the sideline thought that their kicker got roughed up on that one when they blocked it, but I didn't think it was that much of a rough. So,
no.
and then you can't retaliate in that sort of way by trying to take out a player. He just said A.D. Mitchell wasn't missed today, and I think that's in part due to a good game from Ashton Doolin.
Yeah, Doolin was terrific. Special teams in the receiving game. And okay, somebody's got to answer this for me. And I know we've got quite a few people watching right now, so somebody jump in. And we need to get some new comments. I want to hear from some new people today.
Yeah.
That pass on the sideline to Doolin, where he went up, made the catch, they went to review. This was with 2 minutes left to go before the end of the first half, if I remember correctly. And he went up, made that catch, which they then ruled that he didn't maintain control all the way through to the ground, etc. I thought they were reviewing it because of the helmet-to-helmet contact. Is it what? I mean, maybe I misunderstand the rule, but I thought a defenseless receiver who is in a prone position going for a catch, exactly what Doolin was doing, that you can't headhunt that guy. You can't go and propel yourself into a guy who's in a vulnerable position trying to make a catch. Doolin goes up, extends to make the catch, gets completely crushed, face mask to face mask or helmet to helmet. His head bounced back. I didn't think he was coming back for the second half. After seeing the replay, I thought he's going to end up in concussion protocol right alongside Alec Pierce. And I'm not, and I will tell you this, I won't be surprised in the next day or two if we hear something about, because he got blasted right in the head. And I thought that's what they were looking at. Well, it turned out they were looking at whether it was a catch or no catch, and not looking at whether or not it should be a penalty, which I don't know if they can replay the penalty call. I thought they could, maybe not. But the bottom line was he really got hit hard. And he showed some real toughness, not only to hang on to the football, which he kind of almost did,
Right.
but also to stay in the game and continue to play and continue to make big catches. He had that sliding catch, converting a first down late in the game. He was really good. How many catches he ended up with today? I didn't put him in my notes.
Yeah, let me see. I got the box score
I
here.
got Warren with 4, Downs with 6 for 54 yards, Pittman with 5 catches for 39 yards. But one of the points is that Daniel Jones is doing a great job keeping everybody involved. I mean, it's not like there's 12 targets. It's not like Puka Nacua, where you've got one guy getting 15, 16 targets and everybody else gets 3 or 4. He
Yeah,
is very equal in his distribution.
yeah, Doolin actually just ended up being more of a deep threat with just 2 receptions, but it was for 55 yards, his longest was being 35, so he just kinda proved to be a good deep threat today.
But yeah, the Colts with 6 straight possessions with a touchdown. The Colts, I mean, if you haven't bought into the Colts yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's like watching a stock continue to go up and continue to go up, and you're sitting on the sideline just watching the ticker.
Yeah, you gotta buy
It's
in.
time to buy the Colts. It's time to buy the Colts. They're legit. They got a quarterback that's playing at a really high level. They've got talented skill players. Their offensive line's playing well. If there's question marks for me, it's still at linebacker, and that was exposed today. But I thought the corner position was much better. How about those couple of plays back to back that were made by Lamons?
Yeah. Yeah, those were
Back to
very
back
crucial.
plays. Great
Yeah.
coverage. He was right in the right position. Now he might have interfered slightly, but that was one of those, make a play on the football, and they sometimes let you get away with a little bit of hands or a little bit of contact. But they were going after him. Why? Because they're not going to go the other side to Javarius Ward. They're going to target whoever has got the other receiver on the other side, and they did it twice in a row. Thought they could beat him, and twice in a row he made the play. So I thought, well, right there is probably a touchdown if we had Howard out there, because if you start targeting Howard, they end up getting open. It just was happening every time. And sometimes the skill set. We saw Shaq Leonard get retire officially as an Indianapolis Colt today. He's a classic example of a guy who could fly around, make plays, just played with a reckless abandon on the field. But whether it's an injury, whether it's age, whatever happens to a professional athlete, you lose one little step and it totally changes your career. I mean, the game is so fine tuned with the difference between being an elite cover corner and being a guy who can't even play the position. And that's what happened to Howard. He went from being a guy that was at all pro level, Pro Bowl level, and ended up being a guy that couldn't even be on a roster spot. I don't know if there were discussions before he announced that he was retiring. I'm not sure if anything like that happened.
Right, and
Clearly, though, he was witness to what was being said and all of the. I mean, does a guy want to continue playing if he's just continually getting beat up and beat on by the other team?
yeah, and, like, after that performance, there might have even been talks of, "Do you wanna do practice squad?" And things like that, and it's just like, I'm getting into my 30s, he said, "I wanted to spend time with my family, I don't wanna be a backup cornerback and still continue to get hurt," and
Yeah.
it
You
was
can
time
talk to
for
him
him to
about
get
a
off the
trade,
field.
and maybe he's not interested in going to another team, learning a new system. I mean,
It was
that
time,
those
yeah.
talks may have happened before his decision to self-retire. Um,
Did not affect the Colts at all, so,
but I
uh,
thought they were better. I thought maybe
yeah,
it did affect them for a
in it
positive.
there you go. So, sometimes you get a gain from a loss in the case of the Indianapolis Colts. And like, I don't want to hear that it was just the Las Vegas Raiders today because this is the lowest amount of scoring that the Raiders have been held to all season. Even the Chargers let them get 9 points. So good stuff from the Colts defense today.
The Chargers will let them. How nice of the Chargers. We're going to let you have 9 today.
There you go, buddy. There you go. But
Um,
yeah, not a good start for the Pete Carroll era there in Las Vegas.
no, but they did have injuries. We should be fair with the Raiders because you take Brock Bowers, who's I mean he is their Tyler Warren.
Yeah,
He's their
no
go-to
question.
guy when they have a third medium that they want to move the chains. It's kind of the trusty guy to go to, and didn't have him available. So you do have to give credit. But the Colts do have a problem. Now let's talk about a couple of issues they'd like to get cleaned up because the Colts
Yeah.
do have a problem at linebacker. Opposite Zaire Franklin, they've, McGron, whatever his name is, however you say it, he's been cut and gone. He was the local product they brought in. Carlisle is obviously out injured. Then you've got Bocce that was brought in because he was a Anarumo guy apparently,
Yeah.
and boy, he was bad today. He was the
Uh,
Xavier Howard of this football game. He
the
made
AD
mistakes. He
Mitchell.
had penalties. He had poor coverage. He one time on a running play, he got blocked. Seriously, he got taken 10, 12 yards downfield before eventually getting pancaked on a running play. And
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you just can't forgive that penalty that A, wouldn't have affected the play much at all, and B, took away a return touchdown for the Colts.
and it wasn't all that unlike the penalty on Mitchell. He
Mhm.
reached out and basically grabbed some jersey as the guy went by. There was no attempt at really getting into a position for a block, or it was just reach out and try to grab. And he got enough jersey and got enough of a hold that they called him for the penalty, and it took a touchdown off the board. The Colts have had 3 touchdowns taken off the board because of penalty. And penalties are a problem. That's another one of my problems. The linebacker position, where I don't know what the Colts can do to solve it unless they just need to get healthy. But that position is a problem because you saw today. Uh, is it a GK? A GK?
Ooh,
I'm still trying to figure out where the pronunciation guide is because it would really help me out.
yeah, I'm gonna just say,
Ajiake, a GK, a GK.
yeah,
He a Giake. He
Ajiake, I don't know.
he came in and he actually played the position fairly well.
Mhm.
Ended up with 9 tackles. He might be the better option than Bocce, but again, Bocce may have come in and known the defense a little bit better. Um, but yeah, that's a problem position. The other big problem for the Colts is the penalties. 9 more today, 11 last week. Still, 20 penalties, too many. And we could sit and argue about a couple of the nitpicky penalties because I thought there were a couple of them. But the bottom line is, make 4, let the official call the 5th, but don't make 9, don't make 8 or 9, don't make 10 and have it be 11. It's like you got to cut that number almost in half. That's just a lack of discipline, a lack of fundamentals, a lack of execution. You cannot have that many penalties, and that's a problem right now for the Colts.
Yeah, and it's something that you do need to clean up and not get in the habit of because, not every game is going to be against the Las Vegas Raiders who are coming in injured, and it's going to be a lot more crucial in close games against better opponents.
Right now, the Colts are a self implosion away from being an undefeated football team. Five
Yeah.
games, 5 games into the season, they should be 5-0. They're 4-1, still a good record. They lost a close game that was by their own accord, where they made just terrible mistakes to lose a game by a touchdown to a really good team on the road. And then when they've played some of the weaker teams, who a lot of teams will beat, but they won't beat them like the Colts beat them. The way the Colts beat Miami. Oh, man, Miami. Did you catch what happened to them today? They had a nice lead, looked like they were on their way to a win, and I've got them as part of a parlay.
Oh no, that's why you know about this. But no,
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Well, and
What?
my son also asked. My son, who was at the Colts game, asked me, "What happened to Miami?" We looked at the score; it was like 17-0, and we figured they had it in the bag. I'm like, "Yeah,
No.
not so." Miami is good enough to find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Good, yeah, get a win for the Carolina Panthers there. My goodness, Miami now 1-4. Wow.
But the Colts beat the Dolphins 33-8, and it wasn't that close. They
No,
beat
nothing like
they
that.
beat the
Yeah.
Titans 41-20, and that wasn't that close. They won today 40-6, and you almost felt like it wasn't that close. In fact, second half, especially as it got into the fourth quarter, Vegas had kind of given up. I mean, you could just tell in their body language they were no longer engaged. They were done.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the team that was ready to get back on the plane back to Las Vegas, no question about it. Geno Smith, I just think he was out of it most of the game. That was a very bad game for Geno. I'll be honest with you.
And again, Colts doing this without Alec Pierce, who's
Yeah,
when he's been healthy, he's been a terrific receiver for the Colts. So nothing but a lot of positives out of today's game. You have to feel good about where the Colts are at. Once again, make sure if you've joined us, you're subscribed to us, and you can do that on YouTube. Just subscribe to our channel. Also, like, share, and let people know about our channel so you can keep up on all the videos or the shorts. If you go to our channel and you see the videos, make sure you also click on the shorts to check up on some of the shorts that we put out. Sometimes the shorts come out more often than the videos do. And please join our little family here at the Sports Rush. This is the new home here on YouTube. All right. The WNBA made the news this week, Adam.
yeah. The bad news, the criticizing
The
news, is
off
that
the
what you're
court
talking about?
news.
Yes,
Well,
we'll put
we
it
know
that
about
way.
the Fever. The Fever gave it everything they had.
Yeah.
And I mean, unbelievable what the Fever were able to accomplish with the roster they were able to accomplish it with. Just really an unbelievable season for the Fever. I mean, let's be honest. Behind the scenes, we thought we'd have Nolan locked up for Friday night about 2 weeks ago.
No, yeah,
And
I didn't expect a semifinal game 5. I'll put it that
no,
way.
we didn't expect to be on the edge of our seat wondering whether he would be available Friday night, Tuesday at 12:15 a.m. Or actually, it would have been Wednesday because it was a Tuesday night game that ran into Wednesday.
Yeah, but no, hats off to Stephanie White and the Fever for what they were able to do, just with all those injuries and with the team they still had left. I mean, you're just bringing in people who are playing overseas, had been left off from other teams, et cetera, et cetera. So it's inspiring in a way, no question about it. But want to see them get all the way. Hopefully next season.
Yeah, with a healthy roster. And of course, there's a lot of uncertainty going on. Kelsey Mitchell, I saw people, well, she's not under contract. She's going to go somewhere else. Kelsey Mitchell wants to play with the Indiana Fever. There's no question or doubt in my mind that if the Fever are willing to have her come back and pay her competitively, which I think she will be paid competitively. I think the Fever know what she is worth. I think and they've still got a year where they can use basically, it's like the franchise tag. So she'll be back next year. Um, but,
She'll be back.
but of course, we're going to have the CBA, which who knows where this is going. But I've talked about this before that this WNBA commissioner needs to go. They need a new commissioner. I had offered my services. No one took me up on it. They should have, because we could have avoided this whole situation from earlier this week because this would not have happened if I was the commissioner. I would not have allowed this type of thing. I mean, this is a person who doesn't get sports, and people who don't get sports should not be running sports entities or properties. You cannot run a league if you do not understand really thoroughly in the bottom of your soul how the fans feel, what they expect, what the players and the people that make up your league feel, and what their expectations are. You cannot just be an accountant that runs a league and collects the money that comes in and run a P&L statement for the league owners. That's not what being the commissioner is. You are the face of the league. You have got to, be not only a PR machine, but you also have to be someone who is cohesive in bringing both the owners and players together. Now, clearly, your allegiance as the commissioner is probably going to be more on the owner's side. Everybody understands that. That's the team that you're basically playing for. But you can do it where you can be considered a good sport, where the other side respects you and likes you. And right now, that there is none of that in this league. There is no respect. There is no like for the commissioner. And I don't know how you move forward. And she seems very committed. First of all, she seems blind as to what really is going on. Because in her mind, she's running a business and the business is successful. What's the problem? That's the way I get when she's making her apologies. She really doesn't understand the core issues. She's like, well, they're just kind of misunderstanding things. No, they're not. When you're saying these things about players, or when you're not contacting players to congratulate them on accomplishments or whatever, the case may be, or if you're not flying in to make presentations for trophies, or however you're doing it or not doing it, you've got it wrong. And they're trying to call you out on it, and you're not even listening. You're saying that it's kind of on them for misunderstanding. She she did not deny any of those conversations in her apology or a statement. So clearly, she did make comments about Caitlin Clark and how Caitlin Clark should be thankful that she's got the platform of the WNBA so that she can make all the Nike and State Farm money, which were contracts that were both negotiated and closed before she ever was drafted and her name was ever called as the number one pick in the WNBA. She
Yeah, I
brought
mean,
her popularity from college into your league and changed your league. You've got it all wrong and you got it ass backwards. And it's time that the commissioner is replaced. She should step aside. But the problem is, she doesn't understand how bad she is because, in her mind, great TV deal that was negotiated, money is coming in for the owners. There's actually a positive cash flow. I'm doing great because that's all she knows is business. She doesn't
yeah,
know sports. She doesn't know leagues. She doesn't know relationships. And I don't know how this collective bargaining agreement is ever going to be settled when the other side has such a lack of respect and trust for the person who's the face of the other side you're negotiating against. That's one thing. Understand, my wife is in labor negotiations. That's part of her job. And the one thing is, you have to have a mutual respect and maybe even like the people you're dealing with. So you know that you can trust them, and when you give, they'll take and you'll give, and you go back and forth. That isn't happening here. This is what we want, and you're a lousy commissioner, and you're bad if you don't give it to us. And I just am afraid it's going to get ugly. And all this momentum this league has earned, and all the momentum they've got because of Caitlin Clark. And let's not kid ourselves. All those other players that the commissioner wants to talk about, they're great players within the WNBA, but they weren't players that moved the needle. Caitlin Clark moved the public needle on the WNBA. And the commissioner has to stand up and basically say, I got handed a gift of a lifetime. I was given the best women's basketball draw. I don't even need to say she's the best player because it's not even about talent. It's about the number of eyeballs, the people you bring to the television sets, what the TV executives and ad marketing people, what they're willing to spend and pay to be part of this league and to be involved in the coverage. And so she should be so thankful to Caitlin Clark. Instead, she thinks Caitlin Clark should be bowing down to this league and thankful that she was given a platform so that she could make millions of dollars on endorsements. What a crock of.
we'll leave it at that. Yeah, I mean, the term that comes to mind when I think about this situation is just tone deaf. She's just kind of just completely out of the loop of where everything actually needs to be in regards to the league. And clearly, if your players are unhappy, there's something that needs to change. And it seems to be the majority of the league. And it's just dismissive. And it's the way she's responding to everything, and she's undervaluing just the importance of what they think. That they should be paid fairly, and it's led to this mess that never needed to happen. And it's something that the WNBA is growing, yes, but there's still still room for improvement. I mean, when your business, suddenly all of a sudden does has a good quarter of sales, do you want to just say, "Hey, we're good here. Let's stop here"? No, you need to keep saying, "Hey, what can we continue to improve?" You can't just say, "Oh, we have success now. This is our first sign of success, so now we can just keep doing things the way we're doing it now." No, you got to change, and you got to be able to evolve and make your players happy. And none of those things are happening. So, like you said, it is time to move on.
Here's the problem with the negotiations in the state they're currently in. The commissioner doesn't know the players or have enough fair and honest um, back and forth to know what is really important to the players. Generally, in a negotiation, money is number one, but there are other things that may be very important that they want to bring to the table. And sometimes, if you're not going to be able to give them what they want in their number one desire, which is the money, then you have to figure out what of the two, three, four, and five things they want you are able to provide. The league, on its own, virtually, went to charter flights. That's costing millions of dollars. It wasn't even negotiated. It was all of a sudden they talked about doing it in a couple of years. And the next thing you know, Caitlin Clark needs security. They realize that it's going to be difficult to get her through airports without being mobbed by fans. And they're like, well, we can't do it for them and not do it for everybody. So everybody gets charter flights. Well, what if charter flights was the number two or three thing on the list? Okay, now you come and you willingly are offering the charter flights and say, okay, here's checks and balances. But I don't think the commissioner knows the position the players are in, what's important to them. Is it the schedule? Do they want something conceded in the schedule? Is there too many back to back, or is there too many every other day? Do they want to play more games, less games? What's important to the players? What in order? What are the priorities for the players? Because I don't know that the league really has a good grasp on that. They're going to have to talk to the players union and try to figure it out, but I don't know. By this point in the process, they should have that all figured out. They should know when they're coming to the table, here are all of the items that the players union is going to want, or at least to be brought to the table. And the league should have a pretty good idea of what they're going to be able to do, or what points they would like to negotiate on, maybe first, maybe after the money. But somehow right now, this, I don't know what, because I think what's going to happen is the entire negotiation is going to get so stuck on money, and both sides are going to bicker about why the money should be what they think it should be, that we'll never get anywhere. This side will draw a line in the sand. This side will draw a line in the sand. And then we'll start talking about whether there needs to be a lockout or a strike or whatever the next step is going to be. That and then it's all because you don't have a commissioner that knows how to handle these types of situations. That's my
And
that's my thought.
And I would say this is a time that the WNBA needs to be continuing to gear up so they can be ready when they do finally find their next Caitlin Clark level phenom. Because right now, let's say there's all of a sudden a new breakout star in the women's college basketball scene. They're going to just still be going to a league that is, riddled with problems that people are still not fully bought in on yet because of the leadership and the way things are being run. If things were going smoothly and continuing to be promoted and marketed even better, the next Caitlin Clark could have even more of a meteoric rise in viewership and international viewers and just overall sales and everything. So you need to be ready for everything, and they're not ready for anything right now. So
The other thing, from a marketing standpoint, the league knows they've got more people watching and tuning in because of Caitlin Clark. Well, that is the moment where now you can try to make household names out of three or four of your biggest stars. So you don't have to put Caitlin Clark at 3:30 on Sunday afternoon, because right now she's the only name big enough to draw millions of people. Everybody
mhm.
else draws bigger, they have bigger numbers than they used to, but they're nowhere near the Caitlin Clark numbers. And so you can somehow start marketing your players and supporting them and showcasing the individual talents, whether it's Paige Beckers, whether it's Nafisa Collier, whether it's Asia Wilson. And I tell you what, right now, make it Jackie Young, man, had a heck of a game. 32 points today in Las Vegas's win. By the way, Vegas won today. They have a 2-0 lead in the finals over the Mercury. Oh, the what ifs. Oh, the
Yeah.
what ifs.
I mean, losing to the possible eventual champions. Yeah, that's always the what if, man. If we had won that game 5.
But we'll see where it goes during the off season. But
Could get ugly.
I'm fearful because I really have enjoyed the progress of the women's game and where it's at right now. I think, so many things that are building with positivity, with expanding the league, giving more opportunities to players. But they, number one, somehow they have to expand rosters. They have to. I mean, you can't have all these hardship contracts. You've got to have some type of a pool of players. Whether you have my thinking would be that you have 13 or 14 roster spots, but you're allowed like 11 or 12 to be indicated as active for that game. Each game you can name, kind of like the NFL does, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Where you have
inactive,
a
yeah.
set roster of the players that can practice, that can, everything, and then you make 10 or 11 of them active for each game. I'm fine with that, but I don't think it was fair what happened to the Fever, and somehow the Fever overcame it. But you've got a bunch of players coming in that don't even know the system, don't know the other players, haven't practiced with them. Because once you get into the season, if you've got a schedule where you're playing every other day, you're probably not even getting regular practices in. And so, how do these players come in midstream, learn the offense, practice some kind of chemistry with the teammates? The only way they do it is 40 minutes of basketball against a team from another city with another uniform. That's the only way they're getting any kind of experience. And somehow the Fever were able to get it done. That makes this even more remarkable, what they were able to do mid-season. Because there is no practice time. Your practice is all early in the season or when you happen to have those 4 or 5 day breaks. But there was a lot of time there at the end of the season where the Fever were on road trips and they were playing every other day on the road, which you don't even have the same kind of access to a gym that you have when you're at home. So, man, thumbs up. Big salute to Stephanie White and what the Indiana Fever accomplished. Notre Dame college football. Let's talk some
Oh, man.
college football. A lot of teams got knocked off, and the big beneficiary is Notre Dame, who made a big 5-spot leap in the current rankings. Notre Dame got a 28-7 win over Boise State. Little tight in that first half, but they just methodically pulled away, and I think they were physically stronger, bigger, faster. They just were better than Boise, and Boise didn't have the equalizer in Genty. So he played the Colts today. So without that, the Notre Dame was a better team. Notre Dame ends up winning at 28-7. I thought Notre Dame kind of dominated the football game, maybe a little more than the final score indicated, at least as far as talent. But Notre Dame's got a couple of big ones coming up. North Carolina State at home, USC at home. Any reason, Adam, that you think Notre Dame should be on upset alert for either one of these more than the other? What do you think about these next two opponents for the Irish?
I don't think that it's going to be necessarily upset alert. I think that this is two teams that Notre Dame can handle business against. It's just that they have to be at the top of their game. They can't play anything better than what their best is. I would say out of the two, maybe a little bit more from USC, just because they might be fired up just because of that old fashioned rivalry between the two teams. But I would expect after these two games, I'm going to say Notre Dame takes them both.
Of course, with USC, you're thinking maybe they'll try to pick on the secondary, the young secondary. But hey, how about Tay Johnson?
Hey, interception almost took it back to the house.
Yep, 24-yard return on the interception for Tay Johnson, former Northside product. And he is really playing well, getting his opportunity at Notre Dame because of injuries. And he's going to be hard to take out of the lineup.
No question. Yeah, that was awesome. I saw Notre Dame when they posted the highlight. They captioned it "Just a kid from Fort Wayne," so that
Yeah.
was really cool. I love to see the 260 repping.
IU had the bye week this week, but they're back at it against Oregon.
Wah,
This
wah.
is the biggest game of the year for Indiana. No question about it. On the road, Oregon. Oregon is now number 3 in the country. Apparently, if you have a bye, you don't perform well during a bye because they went from being number 2 to number 3.
Yeah,
That's
but
recency bias right there.
that
Miami
Miami
wins,
win,
Oregon
yeah.
doesn't play, so we'll leapfrog Miami up to number 2 for some reason.
The poor Ducks, but no, this is definitely going to be the game that kind of decides where IU sits in the Big Ten.
By the way, Mike Norvell, who has been under some fire at Florida State with a head scratching decision. I don't know if you followed this, but they were down. They scored a touchdown
Hmm.
that made it 28 to 17.
Hmm. Hmm.
And now they've got the extra point. Would have made it 28-18, down by 10, 2 scores, right?
Right.
Somebody explain to me, why did he go for 2?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. That didn't help.
5 minutes, I think 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. 28 to 16, well, 28 to 17, and he went for 2. And I'm like, there's no math that this makes sense.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
either going to
trying
be
to.
down 10 or you're going to be down 9, and both scores are going to be 2 scores to unless you think you want to win it in regulation at all costs. But you're playing at home, which means I'm fine if I have to go to overtime, especially if I go to overtime scoring the last 16 points of the game or whatever that would have been. Because then I'd
Yeah.
have all the momentum in the world and I'd have their defense maybe a little worn out. It made no sense whatsoever. There is nothing logical about going for 2 in that situation. Now they made it, so there wasn't a whole lot of buzz on social media because once you make it, then it's like, oh, okay, I see why you went for 2. No, you
Hmm.
don't, because now they're down 9 and they still can't win the football game.
Yeah, and then I think another just big story looking at the top 25 is the number 1 and 2 from the preseason are both now all the way out in Texas and Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State losing to UCLA. Very first week after Deshaun Foster gets booted out of UCLA, the Bruins put up 42 on what's considered one of the more elite defenses in the country in Penn State. Huh. Where was the problem in Westwood? I think we have it
Uh,
figured out. We don't know where that is, but we
I
do
think
know what the problem was.
right. The new coach hasn't told us where they are yet, so I
Yeah.
haven't figured it
Yeah.
out.
So we
But
don't know where they're at. They're a
this
mystery.
was this was an 0-4 UCLA team that had lost to UNLV and New Mexico and Northwestern. They had lost to
Oh
Northwestern.
yeah, they were horrible, and they
Yeah.
beat Penn State.
James Franklin, you in or out?
Well, my thoughts, James Franklin. I think he's been overrated since he's taken over Penn State. But don't give me anything about the schedule. They wanted to say, well, we played a night game that went overtime against Oregon, so we had a late night Saturday. You got 6 days, and you got college kids. Okay, don't give me the our schedule. It's not like a back to back where you had basketball with a double overtime the night before. You had time to rest, and they got, and it wasn't something where it was a close game or something. I mean, UCLA raced out to a huge lead in this. Now Penn State fought their way back, and you kind of figure the way things have gone for UCLA, not a surprise. But UCLA was able to hold on. Tons of credit for the new coaching staff who, I mean, they had to teach almost a new offensive scheme, defensive adjustments. I mean, a huge turnover for UCLA, and they beat Penn State. But but Notre Dame, 203 yards rushing, 7.3 yards per carry against Boise State. That's what we expected out of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. that they would have an elite running attack with the running backs that they've got, the offensive line that they've got. Jeremiah Love rushed for over 100 yards despite missing some of the game where he was dinged up, I believe. But Notre Dame with the big win. And now they've got North Carolina State and USC. IU goes to Oregon to take on the quack Oregon Ducks. And maybe the world's most famous mascot, or at least college football's most famous, the Duck, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see
Got
him
to be
everywhere.
right up there. In fact, if we
But
ranked most famous college mascot, is
Oregon
the
Duck,
Duck
yeah.
number? Does the Duck come in at number one?
Uh, I was gonna say the Duke Blue Devil, but that's obviously more of a basketball type thing, and it's you only see him during basketball season. You
I
don't
mean,
see him
Notre
on a
Dame has
team.
the leprechaun, but the leprechaun changes. It's not a it's not a costume.
Um,
Um,
how do you feel about Brutus the Buckeye?
yeah, I thought about Brutus. But the funny thing is, my point here is that you've got somebody that would be considered probably top three at worst against a mascot. Nobody still even knows who he is or what he is. Is that a
Hoosier.
buffalo? Is it what is that thing? A bison? What?
Bison, it's some sort of thing, but no, I mean
It's a
it's worth
moose
mentioning
or something. I
it.
don't know.
It's worth mentioning that Penn State loss because now with the losses they have, I mean, this game between Indiana and Oregon basically becomes a fight for who's probably the second best in the Big Ten behind Ohio State.
And you might have a rematch in the Big Ten championship.
Wouldn't that be something?
Whoever beats the other, there's a chance that those two teams could end up meeting again.
Yeah, absolutely. So big game on Friday or
Big one
Saturday.
coming up
Yeah,
Saturday out in
huge.
Autzen Stadium. All right. Pacers got underway. It's NBA
Yeah.
season. Adam,
Oh, I've been watching. Knicks are 2-0 in preseason over in Abu Dhabi against the
but that's
76ers.
because they're playing all their best players. They
Yeah.
at least they did in the highlights I saw. Was it yesterday or Friday? They were playing. They were
Hey,
playing like their starters, right?
yeah, a good bit of minutes. I'd say about 25 minutes, maybe 20-25 for the starters. Just hey, shout out to John Nolan. He got to voice over those highlights for NBA.com.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the first game at least. I don't know about game 2, but yeah, he got to do the voiceover highlights for NBA.com.
Oh, wow.
But yeah,
Um,
no, back to the Pacers. They did a team scrimmage.
yeah, the Fan Fest over the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Um,
we're getting going.
and I'll tell you this: don't count the Pacers out just because of Tyrese not playing,
Yeah,
because
no.
I think the Pacers don't have to look very far to get inspiration to overcoming injury when the team they shared the building with did what they just did. And
Definitely.
remember, the Pacers still almost won the game seven, even with Tyrese Halliburton getting injured early in that game after he started the game on fire. But I think the Pacers have a very good team and still it could be an upper level playoff team. Maybe not the top three, but they could be 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I could easily see them in a 4 to 6 spot, no question about it. And this is a team that does have a lot of chemistry and is good at playing together and playing quickly, getting it up the court. And everything that I've been seeing from the preseason, the guys are seeming to be enjoying each other's company and having a lot of fun with each other. So, tight knit group that's going to play hard, no question about that.
Another reason to mark November 3rd on your calendar. Not only is it the start of the college basketball season,
Yeah.
it is also the Milwaukee Bucks at the Indiana Pacers,
Dun,
the
dun,
return
dun.
of Miles Turner.
Oh man, how hard is he gonna get booed after all of these comments he's been making,
He
all of these shots he's been throwing at Indianapolis for no reason?
apparently he is a firm believer that Indianapolis wanted him out of town, that the fans didn't want him. No, it was just me, Miles. I mean, it wasn't everybody.
He'd listened to too much of the show. He
Yeah,
just heard the
apparently he thinks I speak on behalf of the entire fan base, and I can show him our text. I do not. There's plenty of
no.
fans that disagree with me and are very vocal in saying so. Um, but no, that's going to be because I had to look. couldn't remember. I thought I'd looked it up already, but I checked it, and it's November 3rd, Monday night. A Monday night, which kind of sucks, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the Milwaukee Bucks at the Indiana Pacers, the return of Miles Turner. Hey,
Nice
we've
and
got a fun
early.
race in high school football. We're into week 8.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can even decide conference races this week. I think in the Summit Athletic Conference, it's going to have to hold off until week 9.
Yep.
But how about the Northrop Bruins?
Story of the SAC this season, no question about it. That's it's been quite the resurgence.
They are right in the thick of things. They have not, what is it, the 70s since they won any kind of conference title. Um, but yeah, it's quite the story. So Northrop is still sitting there in the SAC race through 7 weeks. They're 4-1. Carroll is 4-1. Homestead was in the mix until they ran into the buzzsaw, the Carroll
Yeah.
Chargers. And somebody figure this out. I mean, Homestead was 38-0 better than Snyder, but they were 49-0 worse than Carroll. Carroll did not beat Snyder. Try to do some quick math. 87-0. I can tell you that. So something doesn't add up here. Crazy game, crazy season for the Summit Athletic Conference.
Yeah, and like you said, we're still unable to decide the champions. So, I mean, we'll know more after this upcoming Friday, but it still won't be decided.
Bluffton's been playing well. Bluffton Adams Central, that will be a good one. The ACAC should be a fun week. And by the way, last Thursday we had our Mastodons mixer
Yeah,
where we got to meet the Mastodons. Damian Shanqui, former Mastodon, was in town. Great to talk to him.
yeah.
He plays in one of the higher level Eastern Asian leagues and is potentially going to go back and play there again. Macau Bears. I'm trying to remember. There's more to the name than that,
Oh, that's awesome, though.
but he told a little bit of his story and what it's been like being a professional. We got a chance to meet a lot of the new players. Very excited about the season. Of course, you notice that there's a lot of size and length, and it will be a new look for the Mastodons. They can actually do some matching up. Coach Kaufman used to always say, if we play small, the other team has to adjust to us because we're going to be shorter and quicker, and they can't
Yep.
play all their bigs and match up with us in a small lineup. This year, though, the Mastodons can go big. They can choose to match the other team, and it just depends which way they want to do it. But the bottom line is they've got flexibility because they got guys that are 6'7", 6'8" that can play the wing. They can play the 3. They can play the 4. They could play the 5, but they've done pretty well in recruiting the 5, bringing in Darius Duffy. So, and of course, they've always got the guards lining up to come in and be a mastodon because the program has been so guard friendly with guys like Jalen Jackson and Rashid Bello. And then you go back, Damian Shanqui, Jared Godfrey. All these guys ended up with pro careers playing guard for Purdue Fort Wayne. Also, Mr. Vegas telling us that IU,
Let's
what's
see.
that?
He said he heard
1
IU is it.
14-point dog. Oh, 10. He forgot a 0. 10 to 14-point underdog.
Yeah,
I'm shocked by that number.
seems
I don't
high.
know. I would have put it. I would have put it probably 7.5 to 8.5 because
That's
I
what I
think
was
it
thinking.
would be slightly more than a touchdown.
I was gonna say
If
seven
it's
and a
over
half.
around 14, I think it gets bet down. But
I
I,
would take IU to cover if it was 14.
yeah, if it's 14, I think I would take IU to cover. And I think you've got two really good coaches. But Indiana, and both teams coming off a bye, how they handle that should be, man. It's going to be a fun one Saturday. Huge
Oh
game.
yeah, I'm ready for that one.
Did College Game Day announce where they're going to be? Is that the game they're going to be at?
I'll check for you here.
I wonder because usually by now they've got it announced. All right, what's on tap this week? Baseball. We didn't even talk about the baseball playoffs. The Padres lost to the Cubs, and I know we've got a lot of Cubs fans in the Fort Wayne area, Northeast Indiana. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that are pretty excited to see the Cubs advance. They probably weren't so excited to see the Milwaukee bring out the boomsticks.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the Yankees know how the Cubs feel because the Yankees took it on the chin today. That game wasn't over when we started this broadcast. So,
Hey, it's actually still not over. New York randomly scored 7 runs, but it's, 13
really,
to yeah, it's 13-7 Blue Jays in the top of the ninth with 2 outs
it
now,
was
so
11-0, I think, just before we got started.
yeah, the bullpen for the Blue Jays had a little bit of a time there, but, it looks like they'll
Neither
still be able
bullpen
to
is any good.
no, and yeah, and then it's, worth mentioning the Tigers. They lose the AL Central to the Guardians in the regular season, but then, beat them in the wild card and, got game 1 against the Mariners, so
And yeah, and the game-winning RBI, Zach McKinstry,
yeah, very, very cool. Love to see
local
that from
product.
Zach. Yep, awesome.
But no, the Padres.
Oh, man.
You hate to see this because you make so many sacrifices as a Tin Caps fan because you're saying, well, they're making these moves and giving up a lot of minor league talent to make the major league team better so they can go win a championship and then they get beat in the first round of the baseball playoffs. And it just makes the whole thing kind of suck because we're sitting here suffering through loss after loss, through lack of talent because all the best players get traded away. And it still doesn't matter. The Padres are still out and done after 3 games of the playoffs. So, but congratulations to the Cubs.
Yeah,
Um,
at least it's one of our somewhat nearby, surrounding teams.
yep. All right. Enjoy what's left. Tonight's game is what?
Game 2,
No,
Tigers,
tonight's
Mariners.
tonight's game NFL. What do we got?
Oh, NFL. Let me check here for you.
I
Oh, it's,
I looked it
Patriots
up
at,
when this show started,
Bills.
but I've talked about other stuff. What is it?
Patriots at Bills.
Yeah, we'll watch baseball.
Yeah, we'll watch some baseball.
And then coming up tomorrow night, Chiefs are at Jacksonville.
Hey, this is good because if Chiefs can get a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, that would put, Colts firmly at the top of the AFC South.
That's right. First place, baby.
So, gonna be a rare time I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Uh, once again, once again, I am right on the line.
I saw that, a better update there on that Oregon line.
Yeah, we
8
got updated. It's Oregon -8 officially.
boom.
Um,
Thanks, Mr.
that now,
Vegas.
now that would be one I would have to fade. I don't
Yeah,
know that I
that's
could.
scary.
I don't know that I would even with 8 points on the road, West, Pacific time.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I
I
would only do it at the 14.
Yeah, I mean, you get into 12 to 13, 14, I'd probably be going in on Indiana. I'd like to see Indiana win, but I think 8 is a pretty appropriate number for what I would have expected. I would have expected like 8.5, Oregon -8. All right. Hey, we appreciate
Alright.
your comments. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And Adam, of course, always appreciate you. Thanks so much. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again hopefully next Sunday. And that will wrap us up for another week of the Sports Rush. Once again, make sure you have subscribed here on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and of course, you can always leave comments. The video will be posted and a replay will be available if you missed any of the show. And again, go and watch our videos, go and watch our shorts. And we appreciate you very much being part of the Sports Rush each and every week. I am Brett Rump for Adam Lundy. This has been the Sports Rush with Brett Rump here live on YouTube.